Aloha mai kako. My name is Pete, doctor. I live up the Ahapua'a, where my ohana. And us, we've been just really stressed out since the 2014 leak and worried about impacts. I'm going to have a few questions here. And up until March 7th this year, the Navy was touting that they could drain a tank in 3 days. Now that we're talking about a multi-year process, we can't wait 2 years. Can you? I mean, that's one of my questions. One of the couple of things I don't understand and that I'm hearing tonight is a mention about safety. Of course, that's why we're here. We're worried about the safety of our water, right? And yet, when they talk, it could be 2 years to get it ready and another year. It's like, what about our freaking safety here? Every day, the tanks are fuel, we're at risk. What about our safety? So I'm wondering how are you doing this balancing game between our interest, because even the Navy's own studies talk about every day we wait, the risk, a catastrophic leak every year is like 27% increase. Uncle Ernie, I've heard you touted those statistics that you didn't come up with.
It's from Navy reports. Okay. 27% chance of a leak between 1,000 to 30,000 gallons every year.
Thank you. And then the second, and I'll finish, is security that keeps coming up. What the hell? How is water not security? I don't know how this can be framed as security issues when, what could be more critical to our security than water? Right? So you got a few questions there, Malo.
I share your concerns as well. And when the House Armed Services Chairman's Mark came out, one of my first calls was to the Department of Health because I wanted to know if they had concerns over this timeline. Because the reality is it's going to take from when they publish that report to 6 months for the Navy and the Department of Health to come to an agreement on how to move forward. They want to have that plan by November 1st of this year per the emergency order. Then once they agree to that plan, they need to contract those items, and those things take about another 6 months, and then it takes a year to have those things done. And one of the questions I had to the Department of Health was, what is the level of risk we want to accept to the fuel sitting in those tanks for potentially 2 years, like you mentioned, versus commencing fuel. And they were very concerned with the items that are on the independent assessments report. To commence defueling before those were done could put us in a worse situation. And so, take a look at page 304 of the independent assessment report. There's item number 27 that says prior to defueling, to reduce the likelihood of sudden opening of a large valve and a resultant surge, you need to do this. We cannot start defueling until we do that. Unless the Department of Health deems that there is a greater risk to not doing this, one individual item, that we need to start defueling, and they have to come to an agreement on that, and I don't know if the Department of Health is going to take that level of risk. I mean, Ernie, do you have any thoughts on it?
I think the congressman did make the invitation to the health department. Keith, I share your concern too. The longer the fuel is sitting there, the risk of something happening it remains. But I also walked into the tunnel in the middle of December last year with the congressman, and I saw what happened when the pressure surge happened in the pipeline. And right outside of tank number 20, a 5-foot section of pipe just kind of blew loose, just broke loose. It was bolted in place, but that couldn't handle the 350 psi pounds per square inch pressure surge that was created when they tried to move the fuel out of that pipeline. So the other thing I'm concerned about, so I kind of balance. They got to do it quickly as possible, but they cannot do it when they're going to possibly have the pipe burst open again. And in each tank, they store up to 12.5 million gallons of fuel. And if the break in the pipe happens to be in a location where there's no valve, and for Board of Water Supply, we deal with main breaks, and we know what valves are, how important they are. If there's no valve that can shut off the fuel coming out of that tank, one tank could dump 12.5 million gallons of fuel in that lower tunnel, and fuel would run all the way down to Pearl Harbor. It's really scary. I saw a report dating back to the 90s by the Navy's own consultants. They indicated that the lower access tunnel, if there was a break on the pipe coming out of the wall from the bottom of the tank into that tunnel, there was a break right at that point, the lower access tunnel could fill up in 21 minutes. So we're dealing with a nightmare here. So it's one thing, they need to do it. They need to do it quickly, but they got to do it safely because they could inadvertently create a worse problem for all of us.
None of us want an Afghanistan-style pullout. We saw it happen, but we have an Afghanistan here. It shouldn't have been done, and it's been here too long.
Oh, yeah. Years and years of warnings, their own reports, making it clear what the risk of the facility was, but the insistence that they wanted to keep the facility operating. So the only thing I can say, that, and Erwin and I have been at this for now over 8 years, Erwin Kawata, he's in the back there, is that at least right now, everybody's in agreement, got to defuel and got to shut down this facility permanently. So I would say, this is the most progress I've seen in the last 8 years, and thank you, Congressman, and our other congressional delegation for reaching that point of agreement, because we need to work on this together. We need to stay on the same position and keep the pressure on. Thank you. Mahalo.
Ernie mentions him and Erwin were working on this for 8 years. And when this situation happened at the end of November, we led a small tour into the Red Hill facility. And there is an upper adit that allows you to view the upper part of the tank, and there are 2 tanks that are empty, and they take you into I think it's tank 19, which is empty. But they very rarely take you into the lower access tunnel. And on this particular visit, we had an opportunity to go into the lower access tunnel. When I came out of the lower access tunnel, I called Ernie. And I was shocked to find out that Ernie had never been in to the lower access tunnel.
Actually, Congressman, I sorry for the miscommunication on that. Actually, I've been probably in the Red Hill facility, the lower tunnel and the upper tunnel, probably at least 10 times.
Oh, 10, okay. I must have misunderstood you then.
But yeah, that was the first time I had been into the Red Hill facility for years. Because after we started to share our mana'o, to share our concerns about it and really push, we didn't really get a chance to go back in for a long time. So after the leak last year, that was very important because I saw the pipeline, the steel pipe that had that pressure surge. It's a 16-inch diameter welded steel pipe. It actually moved like 8 or 10 inches to one side because of the pressure and the force, and blew off a 5-foot section out of tank number 20, and also broke loose and caused a leak by tank 18. So thank you, Congressman. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We're clear now. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead with your question.